There, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. It is the greatest podcast in the history of podcasts. Soul
I'm
of
going
the
to stop
Skull.
you right there. I know you're trying to be funny, but we're not.
We're not even going to try that claim because we're not. But we're here for an exciting match tonight for our first pregame show in the history of Soul of the Skulls. And we've got a good one. The 14-2 Vikings and the 14-2 Lions. Too bad we couldn't do an episode this week, but that's all right because that's what today is for, to go through this game that we have kicking off in about an hour here. So we're just going to chat for a little about this game, whip up some predictions, and that'll be our episode today, ladies and gentlemen. Also, as a heads up, the Rams are about to lose. So that means a Vikings win will give them the bye and the number 1 seed. A Vikings loss will put them in LA against the Rams. Just as a heads up to folks out there. So, I mean, there's really not much to say, and this is an excellent game, but there, I guess, is a lot to say here. We got the Lions, who have been a great team, injury issues, but they've really played through it well. I don't know about well, but they've picked up wins, and they've been a very good team this year, without a doubt. And I'd say for most of the year, I would have ranked them number 1 in the NFL over Chiefs, Bills, every other team there is. And then we got the Vikings, who really came out of nowhere, and they've been excellent. And now they have a chance for the number 1 seed. And with that said, we would like to welcome in another special guest, Big Lou.
How's it going, yo?
Sup, Big Lou? We just started, so you didn't miss anything. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great game. I can see it going either way. I'm sure we're going to talk about that as we get into it here, but it's going to be a great game. Game 272 of this NFL slate. Arguably one of the most important regular season games in Vikings franchise history, which goes back 60 plus years now. And it's going to be a big one, but yeah, I guess where do you guys want to start with this one? Anywhere we'd like to start with, looking at a specific side of the ball, player?
I mean,
anything?
I think one of the big keys is this is the first time we've had 2 14-win teams play a regular season matchup. This never happens. There's been, I think, 5 14-win teams play each other, and most of them are in the Super Bowl. So obviously stakes couldn't be higher, like Joel said.
I think I saw this week. I've seen around. This is the first game ever with multiple 13-win teams, and both teams have 14. The most combined wins, I think, in a regular season game was 25, and this is about to be, 28. Mm-hmm. So, by far, the most, I don't even know how you want to word it, but you know what I'm saying. Most wins on both sides that we've ever had in a game here. Yeah. And I guess, oh, man, where's there to start here? We can definitely say both teams have excellent offenses. The Lions, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Lions have, as of now, the number 2 highest scoring offense in NFL history this season. I think they have 33.3 points per game, and the highest is a Giants team from the Eli Manning era that had 34 or something like that. So one of the highest scoring offenses in NFL history. And we got the Vikings, who have had issues in the run game, but pass game, Sam Darnold has been crazy this year and has a chance at comeback player of the year, of course. Even MVP odds are also potentially there too for him. So yeah, it's going to be really fun seeing these offenses and how they work. But I think we're going to get into this here. I think the key is really going to be the defenses. The Lions defense has had injury issues. They're going to be getting Alex Anzalone back tonight, but still they're pretty decimated, especially in the secondary. And I don't know if you guys were watching at all their game against the Niners on Monday. Left and right, there were open guys, big plays, passes downfield. And if the Vikings offense can find ways to give the ball to Jordan Addison and Hawk and Justin Jefferson and Jalen Naylor, their passing offense can really destroy that Detroit secondary. So I think if the Vikings win this game, that could really be the key, is that. If you guys want to jump in, you guys can whenever, because I'm just kind of rambling on about whatever comes to mind.
So I think this game, obviously, like you said, is going to come into the defenses. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. We could see both teams score 40 plus points. Ben Johnson, he's their OC. He's almost surely going to be a head coach next year. Brian Flores probably will be a head coach as well, if he wants to be. And, Ben Johnson's kind of had Flores' number. Brian has not beat him in the almost 2 seasons he's been here. So I think it's going to come down to those 2 matchups. Creating turnovers is going to be huge. Both these teams are going to score a lot, like I said. So being able to even just steal a possession off a turnover, and I think, just having the ball on offense, time of possession could be huge. I think whoever wins time of possession will win the game. Just keeping the other offense off the field is going to be massive for both of these teams. Like you said, the Lions are completely decimated. They have 2 good backers, and then they have Zadarius Smith, who's been, so-so. But I think the guy who's going to be covering Justin Jefferson is Amik Robertson, who is, he's a physical corner. He's a pretty good player, but he was playing slot corner, and now they have him playing on the outside. So, I think it's going to come down to which defense can maybe create a turnover or force a couple more punts than the other one. That's going to win this game.
Yeah, and I mean, you were just saying it here. We got a couple guys here that might be, or not even playing, but a couple guys that might be coaching for their job. And we don't mean coaching here, coaching elsewhere. Brian Flores has done such a heck of a job here as the DC in 2 years now. Really turned this team around after the Donatel abomination that we all unfortunately had to witness. And then Ben Johnson, who's been excellent as the offensive coordinator. They're, like we're talking about, they've got historically one of the greatest offenses of all time right now, this Lions team. Left and right, they're putting up 30, 40, even 50 points per game here. And yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this chess match goes. And I think one thing I'm going to be interested to see that I think wasn't a great job personally done by the Vikings in their first matchup against each other was blitzing. Brian Flores loves blitzing. Jared Goff is actually one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL against the blitz, and yet they still kept doing it, even with it being a strong suit. He actually is worse, how do I say it, in like zone defense with less guys pressuring him, that kind of a thing. And yet Brian Flores continued to give a bunch of pressure, and Jared Goff honestly ate that up. And it worked very well for them. So I think that's something I'm going to be watching out for in this game. See if they learn from that one, is how Flores attacks pass rush, if they're playing man, if they're playing zone, kind of what they're doing. Yeah,
and you bring up a great point there. I mean, so the Lions killed the Vikings last week last time they played, on a concept called dagger, which is basically your outside receiver runs a 15-yard in, and then your slot receiver next to him runs a clear out. And when the Vikings bring pressure and try to blanket off of that, you have 2 backers and then some safeties. That 15-yard in does a good job of getting a window for the Goff to throw. And with a quarterback who's so good against the blitz, I mean, I think Flores is going to blitz. Like that's what he does. But dialing it back, I think trying to get home with 4 is going to be big. Grenard's obviously done a great job getting home. Van Ginkel, even some interior guys like Jerry Tillery can get in there. And then obviously on third down when they bring in all their edge rushers. So, I think that's kind of been a problem for the Vikings every time Flores has played them is, blitzing, and a lot of these good quarterbacks, they just kind of stand in there, know they're going to get hit and just throw the ball, get the ball out. So I think, dialing back the blitz and getting home with 4 is going to be massive.
Mm-hmm. And for this Vikings defense, it's going to be huge having Blake Cashman in this game as well. They were without him in their first matchup. They haven't lost a game yet with him. Whether you're superstitious or not, or want to go into that stuff, you can. But this, obviously, he wasn't playing in that game. David Montgomery's out. But even still, they have Jahmyr Gibbs, and he has cooked these past few weeks. Excellent player. So huge asset to their offense is Gibbs. So we'll see if that makes a big difference having David Montgomery out. But definitely Blake Cashman being in is going to be, I think, a big difference for this Vikings team. A couple stats on defense, if anyone's interested in these at all. I just found in scoring defense, the Vikings currently have the 4th best defense in the NFL. So they're giving up the 4th fewest points per game, think I said that right, to their opponents, and the Lions are currently 9th. Though in the month of December, I think the Lions have been consistently allowing 20, 30 plus points to pretty much every team they've played.
Yeah,
so,
they're the worst team in the last 4 weeks via EPA per play on defense. So they're pretty much last in every category.
Yeah. And as far as yardage defense is concerned, obviously not as important as scoring defense, but still notable. The Vikings are 16th, so right at about the middle of the NFL. And then the Lions are currently 22nd, so a little behind them. And we'll just have to see how that plays out tonight. Let's think. Where else do we look around? Let's look at the quarterback matchup here. Sam Darnold has been excellent this season, playing himself to potentially a Baker Mayfield-esque contract, whether it's with the Vikings, elsewhere. We'll just have to see how that plays out. And then we got Jared Goff, who's, I'd say, consistently been a very good quarterback. I don't know if you can say he's great or beyond great, but he's not bad by any means. Very good. Going to be interesting to see this because I think we can all pretty safely say this is going to be the biggest game Sam Darnold's probably played of his career so far. But he's played a lot of big games this season, nothing this big. But he's played a lot of big ones, and he showed up, especially last week, it seemed like, watching the highlights. I wasn't watching the game. Matt and I had to work a hockey game at the same time. But it seemed like Sam Darnold came through when they needed him to, and they would find drives, score when they needed him to. So that's going to be interesting to see how Sam Darnold does here in this game. I think, I don't know where I was going with that one. It's going to be interesting to see what this Lions defense does here. Because I might pull up a box score of their last game, but trying to remember back to it. They tried, historically, Justin Jefferson has been excellent against the Lions. I'm trying to remember back to their last game that they had. That was all the way back in October now. The Lions won 31-29.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson had 7 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown, led the team. I don't know his career stats against the Lions, but let's just say he's been superb.
Yeah, it's something insane. They try to cover the way the Lions try to approach the Vikings offense is they basically say Jefferson's going to get his, and hopefully we can shut down everyone else. And that's worked, obviously, the past 3 matchups. So I assume they're probably going to do the same tonight. I would guess Jefferson is going to have a big game if any of you guys are prop betting or anything. But yeah.
Yeah.
We do not endorse gambling here. But if you do, use Prize Picks.
So, one thing, it seemed like the Packers tried doing last week, maybe not, because I wasn't watching it play for play, the game. It seemed like they were trying to take out Justin Jefferson, which he didn't have, I'd say, the biggest impact. He still led the team in receiving yards. I think he had 8 catches for 92 yards or something like that. But even without him, they spread the ball around, especially to Jalen Nailor. He really emerged last week, coming up with big catches and a big touchdown. I think it was on the Vikings' opening drive even, or maybe it was their second one. But he really broke through last week. That's going to be interesting this week to see what they do with Justin Jefferson, since he has destroyed them historically. But the Vikings have so many weapons. And TJ Hawkinson going back to Detroit, since his injury, will be interesting to see how that shapes up.
Yeah. The Packers had all their coverages like basically shaded towards Jefferson's side, which, I mean, that's why we got big games out of Addison and Naylor, and I think Hawkinson had quite a few yards. So, there's really, I mean, it's kind of pick your poison with this offense right now, which is pretty cool to see.
So, yeah, I guess this is transitioning away from this game a little bit, but I don't know if you guys saw this. Well, actually, we can stick with something first before we go there. You guys, obviously, I sent this in the group chat, I think. You guys see about the Wilfs bought about $2 million worth of tickets to get Viking fans to go to Detroit, and they were selling them at a discount to season ticket owners. Now,
this has got to. Oh,
sorry, go ahead, Big Blue.
This has got to be one of the coolest things I've ever seen, like a franchise do for its fans. Like, just the amount of money they spent just to get fans there at the game, and especially, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard they bought them right behind the Lions bench.
It's right behind the Vikings bench.
I heard the Vikings bench.
Was it? I don't remember what side it was, but
it is the Vikings bench. But yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And I will say, go ahead. You can keep going.
Just I think it's just crazy that they would do that. And, it's just I think it speaks to part of the Minnesota Vikings fan culture that they're willing to do this because they truly believe in this team. So I'm super excited about it, and I'm very much excited to see how this game's going to turn out.
As much as I sometimes how do I say this? As much as I sometimes criticize the owners here, especially in the state around all the sports, the Vikings are definitely, I'd say, the best ones here. And sometimes I criticize them for some of the things they do. But at the end of the day, this shows you they care about their team and they want to see their team succeed. Some owners can't say the same. They're millionaires or billionaires, whatever they are. And I mean, it's cool to own a sports team, but at the end of the day, they don't really care that much about their actual team itself. Now, the Wolves, they're owners that care, and they want them to be successful, and they want the fans to enjoy that. They want the best amenities from TCO in Egan to US Bank Stadium to everything. They want the Vikings to be the best franchise there can be. And like you were saying, Big Lou, this is the Viking fans. This really is saying something. Historically, they travel well. How many times have I said historically in this episode?
A lot. I haven't been counting. I'm honestly deaf to it. But one quick thing I want to point out is I've been seeing rumblings on Twitter about some season ticket holders where I'd actually sold those tickets off. I don't know how much validity there is to that statement. I know a lot of Detroit Lions fans were saying that. And there are definitely some fans that did do that. But the overall gesture from the ownership to buy those tickets, to have Minnesota invade Detroit, is a great move.
Yeah, for sure. And the Vikings fans this year, they've been the best I remember. Just like rallying the team. They've really brought an energy this season. And it's going to be fun to see tonight, especially going into Detroit. Quite the environment. They were a dead team, but now they've really got everyone, their whole city. Everyone is behind them. And I will say this might be a little sidetrack. Is the Lions culture they've built weird? Because sometimes I feel like it is. I used to not think so, but this season I've began to think it's a little odd, some of the culture they built. But maybe that's just me.
I think they're just even more depressed Vikings fans.
I mean, I think I think Dan Campbell's kind of a weird guy, but most football players like him are. But that team just embodies hard work, hard nosed shoulder pad, physical football, and you see it in the way they play. Even if this defense is reeling, they're still playing physical. They're still playing hard, obviously, because there's a lot to play for. I just think it's cool that it's a Vikings Lions game that's this big. I mean, I've seen so many Week 17, Week 18 games that is Vikings Lions, and it's on like the 6th slot at noon, and they're bringing up college announcers to call the game, and it's like a 2, 7, and 8 win teams playing for nothing. So it's just really cool to see that these two teams that obviously the Vikings have had success, but especially a team like the Lions who haven't had success in a very long time, and seeing these two teams play a game of this magnitude is really cool to see, because typically you don't get a game like this that's this big.
Yes, you just opened up a little stat nugget there. So this is the Vikings and Lions' first primetime game since the NFL realigned their divisions in 2002. They've never played, since then, I should say. They haven't played a Thursday, Sunday, or Monday night game. They are the only division rivals in the whole NFL to not have played a primetime game since 2002. And tonight will break that. So definitely fun to feel that energy. Also,
especially for this big of a game for both teams, because you got the winner gets a number 1 seed and gets a bye and home field advantage, and the loser goes on the road to Tampa Bay, and is going to be on the road for probably the entire playoff. So
it's LA, but
yeah.
What's that?
It's LA, but yeah.
Seattle won, so that
Seattle
means
won?
Tampa Bay would be the 3. See now, yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard earlier that was Tampa Bay, but
and
it would have been if the Rams decided.
Would have been if the Rams won, yes.
Okay.
Which thought was going to happen, but then didn't.
Geno Smith decided to play well.
Yeah, It's called backups against starters. That was probably had a lot to do with it.
They rest starters?
Yeah.
Rams did. And it was still a close game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Garoppolo played, Blake Corum started. That's right.
Minnesota legend Tyler Johnson recorded a touchdown.
There you go.
For him. Final statement to defend that random take I had earlier. I think it's because the Lions culture is all predicated upon being underdogs, but now they're not underdogs anymore.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong here, but it feels like the fans sometimes treat themselves like they're the underdogs, but they're not, because now they're like the best team in the NFL, but they think they aren't. I don't know. I think that's where my idea comes from.
I think that's been something Vikings fans have been doing too. And obviously at the beginning of the season, like our over season win total was 6. So, you were underdogs for a while, but if it hasn't become apparent over the last month, like this team is legit, like the national media knows that, everyone knows that, everyone knows Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. So like neither of these teams are underdogs. And, I think it's really, I thought it was a 4-team race, the NFC. Now I think it's a 3-team race between these two teams in Philly. Packers can get hot. Obviously, we've seen that. But 7 seed, they're going to have to go to Philly and then likely either come here to Detroit, and that's 2 really tough games to win. So I think it's a 3-team race in the NFC. AFC gets a little weirder, but.
So what's the scoop on Jordan Love? I wasn't watching, but I saw he left their game.
It was his elbow.
Yeah.
They held him out for precautionary reasons. He's going to play next week.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
And even if not, Malik Willis has done fine. It was really their defense that kind of blew it against Chicago.
Yeah, but you don't want him. You don't want Malik Willis playing in Philly.
I understand that too.
While we're kind of on a tangent, can we just give a round of applause to the Patriots for winning a game that if they would have lost, they would have gotten the number 1 pick next season?
Patriots fans are pissed.
Shout out to Gerard Mayo for screwing him out of the number 1 seed. Pulled a
that is the
Smith,
fastest.
baby.
Okay, on a note though, like that is the fastest I've ever seen a head coach fired after a game.
Dude, I saw
David Pulley of Houston got.
Yeah, but they
fired
flew home first, and then when he got off the plane, like this was like
bro was walking off the field, and they're like, "Yeah, you're done, buddy."
I think this is a theory. I think John Mayo knew he was going to be fired anyway, so to stick it to Robert Kraft, who won the game anyway.
Probably.
So
you think the players would have just been like, "No, we want to throw this because we want that pick."
No,
players do not.
Players want to win.
Games.
I feel like players just want to win games, no matter what.
They're playing. A lot of those guys are playing for positions on the team next year, playing for film elsewhere to get signed. So
I feel like you can ask a coach to throw a game, but asking a player to do that.
In my opinion, that's what they tried to do when they put in Joe Milton.
Joe Milton just never got the memo.
But hey, Joe Milton could be playing himself into like a QB2 job now because of that performance. So that's why players, you play to win because you're trying to either get a promotion or get a contract elsewhere.
Yeah. One last thing to note on the Lions game. They're going to run trick plays. Vikings defense needs to stay, aligned. Yeah. Don't fall for the bait.
Something last week, though, I thought was interesting was that, the Lions had to go, like Ben Johnson had to go pretty deep into his bag to find a way to win that game. Like they've brought some trick plays out that I thought maybe they were trying to save for this week. So it'll be interesting. Ben Johnson is so creative and he'll find ways. He's going to find a way to get a trick play, throw it to Penei Sewell or Dan Skipper or something crazy like this.
Make sure he reports as eligible, though.
Could you imagine?
What I would like is the Vikings to limit the big plays, make Detroit do long 10-plus play drives downfield. I feel like the Lions' offense is based upon big plays and trick plays, that kind of stuff. Even if the Lions have long drives downfield, I would prefer that over the big play, 70-yard touchdown or wild trick play to score or something like that. So that's just me. Also, what's your guys'? Go ahead.
Also, we're gonna have to force turnovers too. That's gonna be huge. The turnover battle, I feel like, is going to be the key in this game. Whoever's going to have the most turnovers or force the most turnovers is going to win the game.
Especially when both teams have such elite offenses like they do. giving your offense more opportunities on something like that. The Vikings have forced a turnover in every game so far this season. We'll see if they keep it up. I think they will. We'll see. Other side street before we can either keep talking about the game or move into some of our other segments too. What do you guys think about Dan Campbell? Because I really like Dan Campbell, but now that I think about it, Aaron Glenn, very good DC. What's his name? Their OC.
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. I was blanking on his name. Excellent OC. I don't even think Dan Campbell's the play caller.
No,
he's kind of just a culture guy. What do you guys feel about that? And it's not a knock against him because he's doing a good job building culture there.
I mean,
an honest question.
You're building a culture there where, Ben Johnson's probably going to be gone. I mean, I think even Aaron Glenn could end up taking one of these like lower end head coaching positions. So, they're two great coordinators, both of them. I mean, the Lions struggling obviously on defense isn't Aaron Glenn's fault. He's got practice squad dudes starting. So,
yeah.
But I mean, when you're a culture like the Lions, I mean, not just players want to come play there, but coaches want to come coach there. And I think it's the same thing with the Vikings, right? Brian Flores, if he gets head coaching job, I mean, there's some guys internally that might end up being defensive coordinator, but I think with the Lions, it's going to be, they'll find a way to replace them. And that shouldn't be a concern with how talented that team is, especially offensively. Like you might take a hit a little bit because Ben Johnson's Ben Johnson, but
I think next year will be a big tell on the Lions.
Yeah.
And
even if the Lions don't go anywhere in the postseason, like they're still in a Super Bowl window. Jared Goff still has a couple good years left, so we'll see.
Oh yeah. Well, anyone got anything else to add on the game? Feel free. Otherwise, I suppose we can probably keep moving along to some of our other stuff. Should we go to predictions first or picks?
Predictions.
All right. Well, rolling over to predictions. There's picks, but we're going to go to predictions. Here's predictions. Lots of stuff has come off in the past couple weeks, but that's because we're at the end of the season now. So all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go through everything. There's a lot. If people want, they can pause and read. Just a couple notable ones. The Vikings Lions, that one was kind of a check down now that I realize it. So I will apologize for that prediction.
Well, I mean, not really. If one of those teams would have lost, it wouldn't have been.
The Vikings that was kind of banking on the Vikings winning against the Packers, because if had they not won, probably would not have been Sunday night. Maybe it would have, but then the number one seed in division wouldn't have been on the line. So yeah, it was kind of banking on that game. But I said at least 3 NFC North teams would make the playoffs. That was before the season started, but looked like it was going to be good. Said Jordan Addison would be suspended by the team by the end of the season. That's not going to happen. A couple other random ones. All 4 NFC North teams would finish top 10 record-wise. Thanks, Bears, for absolutely blowing it the second half of the season. And also said Cowboys would have top 5 scoring defense. Well, they were second to last in the NFL. That was after Mike Zimmer got hired. Felt like making a Cowboys defense. Predictions did not pan out. A couple other ones I will just point out. Vikings undefeated alternate uniforms. I will count the playoffs. Their white on white tonight does not count because that's not an alternate uniform. That is just a different combination. Okay. Alternate uniform would be classic or winter warrior. To me, you guys disagree.
Is it true? I heard this that you have to be the home team to wear an alternate uniform.
I don't think like in the playoffs or in general.
Just in general.
In general, no, because the Browns have worn their white on the road. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
So
I was gonna say, why didn't the Vikings?
I don't know about if the playoffs are different. I know in the playoffs, a team can wear an alternate uniform up to one time if they want. So we'll leave that one on. But just as a heads up to anyone, if the Vikings don't win, their white and white tonight does not count as an alternate uniform because it's just a different combination. It's not actually a different uniform. So there. Otherwise, we looked through. Sam Z had a Vikings sack one. It actually might be more than 44 now. I think the last time it was updated was a couple weeks ago. He had an Aaron Jones one that was correct. As we keep looking over, Big Lou had a few come off the board here. You said Vikings would be top 3 in the NFC. That was when we all doubted, and it happened. Yeah. So that was a good one. And then the NFC North winning percentage, no matter what, that can be calculated since everyone's playing division rivals this week. So the math could
Thank
already
you,
be
Bears.
calculated. Yeah. And then, Matt, you had a myriad of predictions, one could say. You can, if there's anyone want to talk about, feel free.
I just want to highlight my one green one. That was before the season started, so I'm proud of that one.
That was a very good prediction. It was lovely seeing PJ Fleck get the Mayo bath on Friday night.
Yeah.
So, yeah. See if there's anything else. We love your Lewis Scene one. We were talking about it before we started. You had the Lewis Scene faith. Bro only played in one game this season.
Dude, they're
only
keeping him
active
rested
one
for the
game, I should say.
playoffs.
Yeah, could be. And yeah. As we look over at Sam O, you had a couple reds over here, but that's all right.
Yeah.
You had them at 1-2 rest of the season. They're 2-0, so not possible. And then a college football prediction. All of the teams that had bye weeks are out. I saw that.
Got two of them.
Yeah. So yeah, should we just rip them all at once?
Yeah.
You want me to go first? We're going left to right. What are we thinking?
Can I actually go first? Because I got to hop off here in a minute.
Oh, yeah, you can. Also, do you want to explain the highlighting, or you don't?
Oh, yeah. So I updated this one. I said 30 plus. That's a check down at this point. So I upped it to 45.
Does it have to be at least 4 years also for that to be right?
Okay. 4 year. I'll go 4 year plus.
Perfect. Just making sure. That's a man of integrity there.
Plus.
Notice the check down and changes it. Something Sam Z would not do if he was on today.
So my first prediction is Justin Jefferson will have 100 plus yards versus Detroit. I don't think it's a check down just because last game he only had 81, like you said. So
100 is still a lot of yards. So,
but it's still a lot of yards. So I think with how depleted the secondary is, and I think they're going to really try to stop Addison and Naylor and Hawkinson and kind of let Jefferson get his. So that's my first prediction. My second one is that both teams will score 35 points. Like I said, this is probably going to be a high-scoring game. 35 points is a lot, obviously, but this game is going to I think it's really going to come down to who can steal a possession, who can steal a turnover, who can maybe double dip at halftime.
Do any of you guys know the over-under? Because I do.
It's 57, I think.
Yeah, 57.
Which is a crazy high.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
And I think it's probably going to hit. And then my final one is Aaron Jones will have 2 touchdowns versus Detroit. I don't really have a crazy reason to why, but I think give him a couple goal line carries. He'll have a couple ones within the 10. And he'll score 2 touchdowns. Obviously, they got Jack Campbell. They have Jack Campbell, and they got Anzalone back, but that D-line still isn't great.
I think Aaron Jones – someone made an Aaron Jones prediction about how many rushing touchdowns. He's only got like 5 or 6 on the year. So, not a whole lot. Still been super impactful, just not necessarily putting up 6 on the board. So, yeah.
I got to hop off. All right, see you, boys.
Take care.
You, Sam.
Also, we got SKOL State of Mind – says, what's up, fellas? What's up to you? You hyped for this game? We are.
What a silly question. Are you hyped for this game?
Come on.
Hyped. Like, don't watch. You're not a real football fan.
Yeah.
What's the nerve level right now is the real question. Are you anxious? Are you...
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'd say this is arguably the most excited I've ever been for a game, potentially.
But obviously, knowing Vikings history, there's so much excitement. There's so much hype.
Yeah.
They're going to let you down, I feel. But hopefully I'm wrong.
All right, who's up? Me?
I guess I can go next.
Okay.
Can I go? Because I have some people coming over. I might hop off here.
No problem.
There, so.
Of course.
All right, so my first game, my first prediction, is kind of like one of Sam's that I'm saying 80 or more points will be scored in this game.
Wow.
2 teams. Going over on 80. I saw some experts predicting there was going to be over 10 or more touchdowns scored in these games. So I feel like it's going to be a one of those like the Chiefs-Rams game a few years ago.
That'd be fun. So much fun.
Yep. All right, my next one is Sam Darnold will have a 75% or higher completion percentage for this game here. We'll see. And then my last one, it's not happened too often. The Vikings have had one of these before, but the Vikings and Lions will combine for over 1,000 yards.
Wow. Lots of offense.
Yes.
But also all my predictions are, well, I don't think all of them, but they're all about offense being good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Should be a very fun game.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can hop off whenever you want, Big Lou, but make sure to enjoy the game.
I will.
And hope for a win.
I'm going to stay on until.
Okay. Matt, you want to go or me?
I can go. Nothing too crazy for my predictions. They're talking about this a lot during the game. There was a lot on social media about Aaron Rodgers potentially playing his last game. He threw for 4 touchdowns today as the Jets beat the Dolphins. I don't buy it. I think he'll be back next year. As he said, if there's a perfect situation out there for him, he'll take it. He's willing to mentor a young quarterback, which I feel like in this upcoming draft class, there's not a lot of there's obviously hype around Shadur, but there's not really a clear-cut number one. So I feel like if a team were to draft a quarterback and then bring in Aaron Rodgers to be that bridge guy for a year, I mean, would Aaron want to do that? He said the perfect situation. Does he still want to compete? This is obviously the question. But I think that'd be an ideal situation for a team to do. But I
7 in the draft order. Just a heads up to anybody.
Who?
Jets. They're number 7.
Yeah. I feel like the Jets will move on from Aaron Rodgers.
My mom asked me earlier. She's like, "You think Aaron Rodgers is going to play next year?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's playing.
He's still got stuff left in the tank. I think he could, if he has another good season, he could pass Peyton Manning on the all-time touchdown list."
How many behind is he?
I think he's like 35 or something.
Oh, you could do that. Could, but we'll see.
All right, second prediction. I think Byron Murphy will record an interception. Like Big Lou said, turnovers are going to be important to steal a possession, create a short field for an offense in a game that could be high scoring. So, and the Vikings have had a turnover in every single game. I think they're the only team in the NFL that has done that all year. So I feel like Byron Murphy will get the pick. I'm not going to give a prediction on the celebration because I don't know what goes through Cam Bynum's head or what he's thinking about.
Prediction about that.
But any turnover, in a sense, I hope Vikings get one and they actually air the celebration instead of cutting away from it. My third prediction is that this game will be decided by a game-winning field goal. This game has been hyped up, considered one of the best regular season games. Most hyped up regular season game in history. I think it'll live up to the hype. And yeah, 2 good kickers in this game. Will Reichard is a little bit shaky right now. If there's one weak spot for the Vikings going into the postseason, it's seen Will Reichard being consistent. So if we can see him be consistent in this game, hopefully he's only out there kicking extra points instead of field goals. But just get him in a good headspace going into the playoffs, because I'll take this Vikings team over anybody in the playoffs. I'm not worried about, we have to go to LA if we lose. I welcome the challenge, but I would really like to have the NFC run through Minneapolis.
Just to be clear on this, does it have to be like a time expiring field goal or any 3-point or less because of a field goal?
I'm not too sure, but we understand what a game-winning field goal is.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a time expiring, just the game is because
just after the 2-minute warning and they kick the field goal and then the other team doesn't score, I think they'll still consider it a game-winning field goal. I won't count that.
Sounds good.
But it's like within like the last 15 seconds a team kicks a field goal. But yeah, we all understand what a game winner is.
We'll know when we see it. When Reichard does it.
Let's hope it's not close enough to have that prediction hit.
Will Riker from 70 yards to win the division and get the 1 seed is
Will
going
Riker
to feed
from
families.
109 yards out.
He'd have to start out of bounds. It's not possible.
Well, he would be, yeah, technically, yes.
Yeah, he can.
Okay, we'll say like 115. Couldn't it be 125 though? Well, actually, no, because they would have to be.
Because if he's kicking on the far end zone, like the absolute back of the end zone, it'd be 120.
He's got 10 yards into the end zone.
So it could be like 118, we'll say. Well, no, that's not.
No, it probably has to be about 115.
115, 115 yarder.
You'd need about a 50-mile-an-hour wind to back that thing up.
Hurricane gale force winds suddenly hitting Detroit. They can, in US Bank Stadium, they open the legacy gates and the wind comes flooding in through the big doors on that side. Wow.
That's kind of like a cheat code. They open it for like when the opposing team is going down that way, and
they could. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And yeah. So I will say I had 4 predictions because I made them yesterday and was feeling good. So they're all good ones. First one, Will Riker will not miss any kicks against Detroit tonight. Got faith in my boy. Kind of struggled last week. Like Matt was saying, here's his time to get right before the playoffs, and he's going to do it in this one. He will not miss any kicks against Detroit. Number 2, Justin Jefferson will have at least 1 catch for a first down on 4th down. So it'll be 4th down and whatever. He will make a catch, picking up a first down for the Vikings. Third prediction, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison will have more combined receiving yards than Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams. The Vikings passing offense will cook in this game. And to close it out, the Vikings defense will hold the Lions under 50% on 4th down. So,
how many times do you think Lions will go for on 4th down? If we set an over-under on like 5.
I could see them go for it.
I'd say they're going to go for it 4 times, unless it's a 1-score game. They'll go for it probably 6 or 7.
I was going to say same thing about 4. We'll see. I was going to set over under like 3.5. I could see it being, maybe that's a low ball. I don't know. But Vikings defense will hold them, hopefully. Vikings have the best 4th down defense in the NFL, I'm pretty sure. They're allowing a first down on, I think, 1/3 of every opposing 4th down that they go for. So that'll be fun. I would bet the Lions probably have the best 4th down offense, but maybe there's also a team that's had like 3 4th down attempts and converted 2 of them or something like that. So who really knows? But that's it for predictions. I suppose, I don't know if you made a game pick, Big Lou, at all.
I did. I threw one away.
Sam Z couldn't make it today. He didn't have anything, obviously. These are our picks so far. We didn't really post them beforehand because we didn't film an episode this week. But Matt and I did some stuff. It looks like you have 1 more right than I do. Yeah. But mostly we've been kind of on the same page with most of them. So we'll see if that continues tonight. But as we go here, who wants to kick us off? We can have Sam O kick us off because he's not here.
Yeah.
We're going to kick him off. He goes with the Vikings over the Lions in this game, which I'm not that surprised about here. Should we just go right to left?
Yeah.
That's what we did for predictions. Might as well do it. Well, not exactly. Almost.
I got Detroit. I think home.
What a hater. What a doubter.
I think home field is going to be just enough to get Detroit over the top.
You might be right, but like, come on.
We'll see if all 2,000 of those fans do show up that the Wolf Spot tickets for.
Well, in that case, as the resident hater of this podcast, you guys can give me more flack because I did take the Lions in this one. I would love to be proven wrong, but this game at Detroit, their fans, they're hungry. Honestly,
They need the bye more than the Vikings.
That's
do.
exactly what I was going to say. The Lions need this more than the Vikings. The Lions are decimated with injuries. They've been slipping from that number 1 seed. They need a break. They need a rest. The Vikings have been great all year. They're playing their best football of the season right now.
The Vikings have really had just one bad week. The 2 losses came in the same week.
I'd say their game against the Rams, not a great game. Their game against the Lions, they put up a good fight, and the Lions were the best team in the NFL. Can't fault them for that. The Lions were just simply a great team, and they still are. But that's why I went with the Lions, is just simply they need it more. It would be great for the Vikings to pick up the number 1 in the bye and all that stuff, but the Lions need it more than the Vikings do. Even if the Vikings don't win this game, I'm still confident, like Matt was saying, going into the Rams, and if they win that, going pretty much anywhere else, even into Detroit, honestly. I would feel comfortable going into Detroit. Philadelphia would be a tough opponent. I will say they're playing really good football. Otherwise, I would take any opponent with this Vikings team. So that's my case of why I'm a hater and pick the Lions.
I think the Vikings will be able to pick apart this Lions defense enough with all their injuries to overcome it. So that's why I'm choosing the Vikings. And just because my predictions are pretty much all right anyway, so what's another one going to hurt?
Might as well, because why not?
So, yeah, why not?
Big Lou was the closest record-wise in our season predictions, even though we did auto-fill it up for him.
I was.
Yeah.
Even had a green on the bye week, and, we might have won that too.
That's just what a great team does. You win the bye week.
Exactly.
Big Lou. Almost perfect. One could say.
Yes.
Better than any of us.
But, I mean, people can say that we were like our roommate Jaden, my roommate Jaden. He can say that I'm a biased homer. Look at this, bro. I had him going 8-9 before the season. I had him going 8-9. Sam had him going 7-10.
To start the season, that was looking very realistic.
Yeah. Heading into the season, I thought it was going to happen.
After they announced it was Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So,
And
anyone that can say that,
go to the QB power rankings real quick. This will be fun to look at towards the end of the year. Yeah, scroll towards the bottom. Look where we put Sam Darnold. Did I even put him down there?
You're on the left.
Yeah, 22, I think, or not 22 is lower than that.
Darnold McCarthy combo, 30th on Matt's big board here.
Wow.
On Sam's,
he had him at 25, I think.
Where was it?
All right, guys,
oh yeah, 25.
I gotta head out. I'll see you later.
Take care, Big Lou. Enjoy the game. Yeah. So if that tells you anything, there you go.
AFC is all set for matchups.
Yeah. So
Bills,
be good.
Bills, Broncos, Ravens, Steelers, Texans, Chargers.
I hate to be this guy, but I will mention this dream I had last night. I had a dream about this game. And the reason I'm mentioning it is just because if it becomes true, then I said it before the game. I had a dream that the Lions won this game 33-23. So we'll see. So if the Lions win 33-23, you can look back on this and say, I said that before the game. But my dream was also inaccurate because in my dream, the Vikings, I remember someone was telling me next week they were going to play the Saturday game at 3:30, but it was in Carolina against the Panthers who weren't in the playoffs. So that's how I know it wasn't real. But if the score is 33-23 with the Lions winning, maybe my dreams are nuts. So just saying.
Pregame's just
had to
about
throw
to
that
wrap up from what I've seen. And
yeah, suppose we can get going and enjoy the game. Anyone watching, that one person watching, whoever you are, we hope you enjoy the game too, because it's going to be a great one. And yeah, I mean, that does it for us. Hopefully sometime in the future we can do more pre-games because it was fun leading into this anticipated matchup that we got on our hands. But that does it for this episode, unless you got any final closing remarks you'd like to make? I hope my
TJ
game picks proves me
Hawkinson,
wrong.
Aaron Jones, I need you guys to light it up in fantasy. I need a miracle.
Yeah. So he was telling me before we started, 3 championship rounds, about to be 3 losses unless a big comeback happens. So tough break. But there's always next year. At least you made the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Better than I did in all of mine. Only made the playoffs in one of them. So, yeah. But that does it for this episode. Of course, we hope you guys have an excellent night and enjoy the game. We'll see you guys again sometime soon. Peace out. And as always, SKOL Vikings. We'll see you guys sometime soon.